Good afternoon. Welcome to the Coastside Fire Protection District Special Board Meeting for the Finance Committee. Roll call, please. Jean.
President Burke.
Here.
Director Cockrell
Here.
and Chief Cox.
Here, thank you. And Jean Savory, our attorney, is here. We will go past the Pledge of Allegiance for this moment. Do we have any public comments that any member of the public would like to make?
No members of the public on the call.
Member of the public? Then let's go on to continued business, and that is review and discuss the district investment policy. I believe it's Eugene that are going to kick this off.
Yes, I will, with some very brief comments. President Burke, you would ask that we bring this to the Finance Committee so that the Finance Committee could take a look at your investment policy and then make recommendations, if you choose to do so, to make any changes to the policy, which the board in a public meeting then would review and act on. So I've attached your policy to the staff report. I also attached the investment policies for 2 other fire districts so that you could see what other folks' policies look like. And although the words may be different, the policies all say basically the same thing. You need to be a prudent investor, and you're looking for 3 things in your investment policy. You're looking for safe investments, liquidity, and the yield on your investments. And with that, I will stop talking, turn it over to you, and let you and Director Cockrell have a conversation about the policy and advise us whether you think any changes are necessary. And if so, we will place it on the next board agenda for the full board's review.
Thank you, Jean. Chief Cox, did you have?
No comments. Just, Gene, I don't know if we put in there the last time this was actually voted upon. I want to say it was 2015 was the last time.
That's correct. That's the last time it was officially reviewed and changes were made to it. It's not required that it be reviewed annually, and so we should probably get some direction on that as well as to whether or not you would like this to be done on an annual basis or more often than every 5 years.
Okay. JB, do you want to start off, or would you like me to?
Well, I look at this and it's just like any other thing having to do with money. You said, well, we want to invest in something where we have the maximum potential of the upside while at the same time minimizing our exposure to the downside, which is what any huckster or salesperson says. Oh yes, the way we invest is that we maximize our potential on the upside while at the same time protecting against the downside risks. I look at this and quite frankly, it seems to me that unless something happens where we compare ourselves to somebody else and they were doing markedly better than we are, or on the other hand, markedly worse than we are, then it would seem to me that it would behoove us to maybe consider changes. But if they were doing, obviously, if they're doing worse than we are, no changes. But if everyone is doing markedly better than we are, then I'd say, look, we got to make some changes here. And based on what our attorney told us, we're all doing about the same thing, just couching it in different terminology. Is that an accurate representation, Jean? Okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay, let me just go through just a couple of quick thoughts, nothing certainly of any major consequence. As you've mentioned a couple of times, the basic criteria of safety, liquidity, and yield is pretty common on our policy and other policies, as well as it should be. It should continue that way. I would just say that as our current policy is worded, it's somewhat redundant, and I think there's a lot of things that could be smoothed out there in terms of just the verbiage that's in the comment. I mean, even under the objective, you can take that first sentence out of there completely and go through. I'm not going to go through the whole document, but I think there's a number of ways you could speed this up because, for example, if you, I'm going to go to the second page, I believe. And I'm not sure that such things as delivery of the securities, the point on diversification, and the terms of investment are relevant to this policy. And I'm not sure why, maybe at some point years ago they were relevant, but today I don't see how any value to that point, because we're investing in basically at this point two organizations, LAIF and the county, and to have all this other stuff in there. Similarly, on under the I guess it's under item number 5, monies that we shall receive as donations. I don't ever recall getting a donation, so I'm not sure why that is in this policy as well. So with that, I would just say that to smooth out the language and make it more direct and would be helpful. Along that lines, Gene, I'm going to give to Chief Cox. I just happened to get this yesterday, but it's a sample investment policy that the California Special Districts Association gave and is handed out. And I just received it yesterday, so I'm just going to give it to Chief Cox for consideration as we reword this item that is on here. The other comments I'd make is that at the recent California Special District Association conference that I mentioned at the last meeting, I had an opportunity to meet with a new organization that is sponsored by the California Special District Association. The acronym is California CLASS, and it is a little bit different kind of investment as opposed to a Section 115 that we have with PERS. The basic idea of this, and I'm not going to go through the whole period pamphlet here, but the basic idea is that if we were to choose to invest in this organization and their investment vehicles, it is not tied specifically to a special item, i.e. CalPERS investment or healthcare or anything. This would be an investment that we could use for anything similar to LAIF, but supposedly, because of the way they're structured, they're getting a much larger or better return on their investments. And I would like to, again, I'm going to leave this with the chief and for yourself, Gene. And the local representative for California CLASS locally is a lady named Laura Glenn, and her telephone number is on here. And Chief Gene, I would ask that you bring back to the board your thoughts and opinion as to the value of this and your recommendation that we would add to the updated investment policy at our next meeting or the January meeting, whichever is appropriate to do that. Those two items. The last thing has to be that I was going to make my comments on strictly the reporting structure. And if we were to get, as far as I'm concerned, if we were to get the quarterly investment statements from the county and LAIF that is presented to the board, to me, that's adequate to have that just presented. Similarly to, we already get PARs, and that gives us an opportunity to do it. And for a reporting structure to the board, is if we were to get the similar statements from the San Mateo and LAIF, which are available, all I'm asking is that they get put into the board packet quarterly. I think that would be, as far as I'm concerned, adequate information. I guess we could add to that, Chief Cox, if you have any concerns or something like that to add to it, you would do so, but I think that would be adequate. Those are my suggestions or comments. JB?
Yeah, I don't have any problem with anything you said. You made the comment about donations. I recall we have had some donations. We never, I'm not sure they came to us, or supposedly, I think they were supposed to go directly to the firefighters. In particular, possibly the volunteers. but I'm not aware of any of that money ever being spent. But I do recall we have had some gifts from some people who were served by the district in whatever major situation they faced, where after things settled down, they felt obligated, or not obligated, but they wanted to do something to express their appreciation. And so they did, in fact, send some donations. Where those donations went, I can't tell you. I have no idea. But I do recall us receiving some donations.
Well, Jamie, you're probably right. I just don't remember
Yeah,
the, I think, no, I won't go there. That's fine. I just look to Gene and the chief to say if it's worthy. I noticed that the 2 samples that you provided us do not mention any donations. And if we do, I would simply say put them in miscellaneous funds.
yes.
Okay.
Just one question on that, President Burke, on the allowable investment instruments, section 6.
Yes.
Currently, we don't have, as far as I'm aware, anything like a 115, or should we go with that class system? Is that what you're looking for some clarity on, is to evaluate alternative investment mechanisms to add to that?
Perhaps it's, for example, PAS is the one, section 115.
Yeah.
But we don't call it out as one.
Right.
It may, to your point, it may require some addition as to what is a section 115, because as far as I know, a section 115, once you enter it, that money is dedicated solely to that subject. Class is not a 115, it's just an investment thing.
Yeah.
So under the allowable investments, maybe some clarification that what a section 115 is, or add the fact that as is a 115, maybe that would cover it. Does that answer the?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just so I'm clear, in evaluating a class, what a recommendation coming back would be, A, if it's a reasonable system to recommend to be included in the investment
Yes.
policy.
Yes, I would think that if it is as presented, and that their returns are superior to either the county or to Leith, and the safety is there, that it provides us an opportunity to diversify. And if the recommendation is that it's worthy of considering, maybe the board at some point in time might say, well, let's try it. Let's put a small sum of money into it and see what happens. Okay.
President Burke, I would suggest that maybe the chief and I will reach out to your auditors and ask their opinion, so we have the opinion of your auditors as to whether or not that would be appropriate.
Good point. Agreed. Okay. Anything else?
Would we be entertaining moving from PARS to class? Would there be any advantage to doing that? Or would there be any prohibition to doing that?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the question.
Would it be possible to move the money we have currently in PARS and move it to class? That would be the question. Number one, can we do it? And number two, would there be any advantage to do it?
I believe the answer is no, we don't have that.
That negates the second question.
Once it's in that section 115, it's dedicated. Yes. Anything else? Any other questions? Without objection, the special meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Be really confused.